Hello and welcome back to Much Ado About Rugby, where we chat about everything rugby. This is the first of our Six Nations reviews, where we review the action that happened in the rugby internationally this weekend. So let's start off by naming our team of the week. Maliki, who is your team of the week?
I want to say big shout out to Ireland because so nearly got the win, but now obviously it's France. They absolutely destroyed Italy. By far the best team this week. What can you really say?
I disagree. My team of the week this week is Scotland because they just completely choked England, pretty much embarrassed the England team as well, who arguably weren't playing great, but even so, Scotland, led by Stuart Hogg, were fantastic, I thought. What about you, Ed?
The key point here is that Scotland did something this weekend that hadn't been done in 38 years. They beat England at Twickenham. And yes, England might have played poorly, but that's not without a bit of Scottish grit and determination that they won that game. So yeah, definitely my team of the week is Scotland. But that doesn't go without saying that France had a very good game as well. And then Ireland's performance against Wales was pretty
Ireland
special as well.
Dang. If we didn't have 14 men, then
What are you saying, we, Mal? You're English, aren't you?
no.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, like we say, France won against Italy 50-10. Scotland beat England 11 points to 6. We're trying not to get too down about it. We know England have teething problems. But anyway, yeah, Wales also beat Ireland, a 14-man Ireland for 70 minutes of the game by 21 points to 16, I think. And Billy Burns, literally about half an hour ago before the time of recording, kicked the ball into the dead ball area because he's an idiot. Just kick it into touch.
Sexton said quite a nice thing at the end. I don't know if you heard it. He was saying at that point in the game, you have to go for the 5 meters because
no, you don't. I completely disagree.
But obviously this is Sexton being nice as well. He said you have to go for the 5 meters because it's such a bigger chance of scoring than like 10 meters or whatever.
Yeah, it's true. But Ireland were on the front foot.
And you have to go for it. And if you make it, you're a hero. If you don't, then obviously it's what happened today. But I agree. Ireland were on the front foot. I think they would have scored anyway, even if they had been 10 meters out or whatever.
Exactly. Shout out to players like Tagburn and Robbie Henshaw in that game. Really good players. Speaking of individual players, who, Maxon, is your player of the week?
My player of the week is Stuart Hogg for his standout performance against England. I mean, the kick he made into 5 meter line made me personally, as an England fan, want to cry. I don't know about you guys when he literally put it in.
Outrageous.
His game management was pretty insane. Completely outplayed Elliot Daly.
I think it was the best game we've had in absolutely ages, to be honest.
Yeah, he's
best game I've seen him play.
Definitely my player of the week. I don't know. What about you guys?
Yeah, Mal, who's yours?
I think just Dupont was just literally proved he is the best player in the world. Potentially, definitely the best 9, but he's definitely up there as best player in the world, in my opinion. But then also shout out to like the Irish lads, as we said earlier. But yeah, Dupont. They played so well. They actually did. Keenan, Henshaw, Byrne.
Why don't you select one as your player of the week if they're that good?
Because Ireland didn't win.
Lost.
They weren't good enough. They weren't
that good.
Peter O'Mahony was my player of the week.
Red card in the 10th minute, 13th minute or something against a very poor Wales side. No one in the Wales side, maybe apart from George North, who actually had a half-decent game, deserves any sort of shout-out. Alan Wynne-Jones was appalling again.
Mate, the actual man of the match was Wynne-Jones.
Well, I don't know why, because he was pretty bad. Yeah, I have to agree with Mal, to be honest, on my player of the week. I think Dupont showed his absolute just world class, and he's still so young, which is the scariest thing. That offload that he gave, I think it was to Arthur Vincent.
Yeah.
Vincent was David Campese-esque, and everyone still gasses over that try. So just because it was against Italy, I don't think you could play down how good that offload was.
Showing a new this whole running style of 9, I think just the whole French play, the whole jouet, he is literally the epitome of that.
Yeah.
So
he also seems like a bit of a psycho as well. He's quite scary to play against. Literally never shows any emotion, just gets the job
Yeah.
done, plays like the World Cup.
Never cracks a smile.
Quite scary.
One of the commentators actually said that. They're like, it would actually nice if he smiled once in a while.
Couple of other players I'd like to shout out. I mean, obviously we can't go without shouting out the debutant Cameron Redpath, who I said a few episodes back should play for England. Turns out he plays for Scotland on his debut, beats England. So pretty good for him. He had an outstanding game, especially in the first half, I felt. Duhan van der Merwe, again, coming up trumps with the try. He was, again, looking very dangerous. There was one point where Farrell hit him backwards, but that was about the only point in the game where I think Scotland really felt anything from England, apart from a couple of charge downs from Maritoje. Maritoje, shout out again, by far the most impressive player on the England team.
Yeah, disappointing over from England though. I think like just weren't the same. We're just lacking some spark, or like I think in that Ireland game you could see like how much power they were bringing to every time they were trying to take the ball up. They kind of knew they were going to break that first tackle, or at least make some meters. With England, you just don't see that. It's almost an arrogance, I would say. They just think they're going to win no matter what, which is kind of like just taking like the kind of energy out of it.
That's the point. I was saying during our live stream, obviously, when we were watching the game, that it's kind of England don't generally lose, even if we've been under the pump a little bit, unless it's against a team like South Africa or New Zealand. So we tend to still come out trumps, and it's only, you know, in recent times when we've really felt nervous properly about losing, especially within the last 4 or 5
nervous
years.
about losing. Ed's pre-match 90-0 to England prediction.
Always predict that. I always predict that. No, I'd like to
of the Scotland team, to be honest, because like if you look at their lineup, pretty outrageous. But
yeah,
anyway,
really good.
On.
Yeah, I'd like to comment finally, last little segment on Italy, just because the scoreline was 50 points to 10 in France's favour, but I don't think you can really ignore how hard Italy really tried in that game, and they did thread together some really nice phases of possession. I think Garbisi, again, someone who we've mentioned before in this podcast, is someone who is definitely coming up through the international scene and is starting to get noticed a bit more. Maliki was saying that he'd like to see him hopefully join a bigger club so that we can see him a bit
Prem
more.
Would be awesome. A Prem club would be awesome.
Exactly.
I think he's promising. He's good. Obviously.
Also, the try from Sperondia, the Italian winger, was class as well. The little chip kick over the top and scoring in the corner, very nice.
Yeah, Monty Ioane, he was actually decent as well. That Italian player.
Yeah, so a couple of good pointers for Italy, and it's tough coming up against France in your first game. So honestly, they won't win a game in Six Nations, but they're still looking.
They're looking
okay.
better. They're looking better.
I don't know. The thing is, I just don't care about Italy really.
Why are we even talking about them?
Yeah. All right, and that basically sums up this weekend's rugby. Obviously, Scotland, Wales, and France with the victories over their opposition. If you like these kind of shorter videos where we just review the weekend, don't forget to subscribe and like the video as well so that you won't miss any more rugby-themed content. And we'll see you all in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye. Rugby.